Dad threw his napkin down and yelled, "You're the problem, not like your sister, she actually contributes." I laughed and said, "Then she can contribute to her own rent." Dad froze mid-breath. Mom dropped her fork. "And sister." It was Christmas Eve and my dad had already had 2 glasses of wine before the ham even hit the table. My sister Lauren was halfway through her monologue about her recent promotion. Something that sounded more like a padded resume line than a real job move. But she spoke in that overly polished LinkedIn post tone she always used when she wanted to impress someone, usually our parents. She went on about how her boss called her irreplaceable, how her team looked up to her, how she was managing more projects than ever. Kept chewing. Foley. Watching her spin her story while my parents nodded along like she just won the Nobel Peace Prize. Then she dropped the line that lit the match. "Of course it's a lot, but it's worth it. Especially when I'm able to help Mom and Dad. Not everyone my age thinks about family first." She smiled at me while she said it. Not directly, but it was meant for me. Every word of it. The implication wasn't subtle. It never was with Lauren. And my parents took the bait like they always did. My mom touched her hand gently, like she was the family's savior. Dad chuckled, proud, and reached for another serving of potatoes. That's when he did it. He threw his napkin down. "You're the problem, not like your sister. She actually contributes." I stopped. Not in shock, I knew something like this was coming. But the timing, the nerve, that was what made me pause. I laughed once, then leaned back and said it plainly. "Then she can contribute to her own rent." My dad's mouth was still open mid-breath. My mom's fork clinked against her plate. Lauren looked like she had been caught stealing from a church donation box. No one said a word. I pulled out my phone, opened the banking app, scrolled. There it was. A neat little string of rent payments. All for Lauren's building. All from my account. I turned the phone so they could all see. Didn't say a thing. Just let the numbers speak. My mom leaned in. She looked at the screen for longer than she probably needed to, just to be sure. My dad started shaking his head before he even understood what he was seeing. And Lauren? She just stared. When she finally opened her mouth, I already knew she'd mess up. "That's not true. She's lying." She said it like it was instinct. Like she'd used that line before and it had always worked. But this time it didn't land. No one backed her up. I stood. Grabbed my bag. Didn't wait for the next denial. "I've been paying for your apartment for 11 months. You transferred it to me as a temporary emergency, last January, remember? I've got the texts if we're pretending now." Lauren didn't say anything. I looked at my parents. Just once. "I'm done. She wants to be the provider? Let her." I walked out. No coat. No plan. Just cold air and that kind of rage that doesn't burn. It freezes. By the time I got to my car I had 6 missed calls. 2 from Mom. 1 from Dad. 3 from Lauren. I didn't answer a single one. I didn't go back to that house for days. And when I did, everything had already started to change, just not the way they hoped. For the next 2 weeks, Lauren's silence was louder than anything she'd ever said. She didn't call. Not at first. Which was weird because Lauren loved to talk, especially when she needed to twist a story in her favor. Instead, she sent a carefully worded text the morning after Christmas like she was writing a company-wide apology email. "Hey, I hope you're okay. Things got out of hand. Let's not let emotions ruin the holidays." I stared at it for a minute before deleting it. No reply. She followed it up a few hours later with another one. "You misunderstood. I didn't mean to make it seem like I was taking credit. I was just trying to help." That was a lie and she knew it. I'd sat there quietly every time she dropped hints to our parents that she was financially supporting them. I let it slide when she called me between jobs during a family dinner, even though I had 2 clients on retainer and was paying for literally everything in her life. But what really got me, the part one kept thinking about, was how my parents looked at her. Like she was carrying the family. Like she was the adult. Like I was just taking up space. That night I went through my bank records. All of them. Rent, obviously. $1,850 a month. 11 months straight. Utilities in her name charged to my card. Amazon purchases I never made. Uber Eats orders to an address I didn't live at. $30 here, $40 there. Added up fast. A Spotify family plan she didn't realize was still on my account. Phew. I even found a $280 Target order from 2 months ago that included a set of AirPods she swore she bought with her own bonus. I was the bonus. I sent her a Venmo request for everything. Every cent labeled each line item with the date and description like I was an accountant closing the books. $21,484.12 in total. She declined it within the hour. No message. Just a red declined notice. That's when I blocked her. The next morning I shut down every shared account we had. Changed all the passwords. Disconnected her devices. Called the landlord and removed my name from her lease. She'd have 30 days to fix it or move. Then I emailed her. Not text, email. She'd forced me into this so she could deal with it the official way. I'm done. No more payments. No more cover stories. No more pretending. I didn't hear back. But my phone started buzzing again. Not from her, from our parents. Your sister said you're going through something. Do you want to come talk? We're worried, Mila. She said you're lashing out. She really didn't mean to hurt you. It was like watching a rerun of the same show I'd seen my whole life. Lauren causes chaos, lies about it, plays innocent, and they all gather around to protect her from the consequences. And I get cast as the unstable one for reacting. I ignored them. A week passed. Then another. One Thursday night I got home from work and saw her standing outside my building. No car. Hoodie on. Eyes red. Hair pulled back like she hadn't washed it in days. She asked to come in. Just for a minute. Just to talk. I told her no. She started crying right there on the sidewalk. He said she messed up. That she got in over her head. That she didn't know how to say no to mom and dad when they asked for things, so she let me pay. That she was going to fix it. That she'd pay me back. I asked her one question. If mom and dad had ever known it was my money. She didn't answer. That was all I needed. You used me. You lied about it. You turned them against me. And now you want forgiveness because it's finally costing you something. She tried to grab my hand. I stepped back. You made this mess. Clean it up yourself. Then I went inside and shut the door behind me. She didn't leave right away. I watched her from the window, pacing, sitting down on the curb checking her phone. But eventually she did. What I didn't know at the time was that she had already defaulted on her next rent payment. That she was behind on her credit card. That mom and dad had just asked her to cover the property tax on their house. Something she'd promised to handle with her raise. And the money she used for all of that? Gone. Because the real bank had closed its doors. Me. It started with a voicemail from my mom. One of those rushed, out-of-breath messages she leaves when she's either angry or afraid. Mila, please call me back. It's urgent. It's about your sister. I didn't call back. I waited. 2 hours later she called again. This time I answered. She skipped straight to the point. We got a letter. From Lauren's landlord. She's being evicted? I didn't even flinch. I'd been expecting this moment. The only surprise was that it took this long. She didn't tell you? No. She told us she was fine. That everything was handled. She said her new job was paying well. I let that hang in the air. My mom was already starting to connect the dots. You stopped helping her. That's right. The first week of January I ended everything. No rent, no utilities, no food deliveries, no quiet bailouts. I wasn't doing another year of cleaning up her messes while she played the generous daughter. And now that the credit well had run dry, reality was finally showing up at her doorstep. And apparently now our parents. Mom's voice softened like she wanted to blame the universe for it, not her. She said Lauren hadn't been herself. That she'd been staying in her room. Not eating much. Not talking. I didn't say what I was really thinking. That Lauren wasn't broken, she was just unmasked. She couldn't lie her way out this time because there was nothing left to borrow, no one left to blame. By the end of the week she was out of her apartment. Officially evicted. She didn't say anything to me. I found out through a neighbor she'd once made me help move. The kind of favor Lauren always expected and never returned. She left quietly. No moving truck. Just a few suitcases and her car packed full. She showed up at our parents' place like she was taking a sabbatical. Told them it was temporary, that she just needed a break between leases. At first they believed her. But then the mail started showing up. Final notices, closed accounts, unpaid bills in her name. All the things I used to intercept. Turns out Lauren hadn't just relied on me. She'd built her entire image on the foundation of me. And once I stepped away the whole thing came down. My dad called next. That was rare. He usually left all emotional conversations to mom. He didn't start with questions. Just said he needed to come over. Both of them. He sounded like he'd already swallowed a bitter pill and wanted me to hear it from them before someone else did. They showed up with groceries and tight faces. No one said we're sorry at first. They sat at my table like it was unfamiliar territory. Like they were guests in a life they hadn't paid attention to until now. Then they told me everything. That Lauren confessed. That the money wasn't hers. That the job she bragged about didn't exist the way she claimed. That she'd kept the lie going so long, even she probably forgot where the truth ended. I asked them what changed. Why they believed me now. Because we saw what her life looks like without you, my dad said. And it doesn't hold up. That part hit. Not because I needed the validation, I was past that. But because I realized it wasn't just Lauren who had lived off my support. My silence had enabled the whole illusion. I was part of it too, just from the other side. They apologized. Both of them. Not with dramatic speeches but with quiet regret. With a look I hadn't seen on either of them in years. Not disappointment but recognition. Later that night I got a text from Lauren. Not an apology. Just a sentence. "I know you hate me, but I'm still your sister." I didn't respond. Not because I hated her but because I finally understood that being sisters didn't mean I had to be her safety net. That was the last time she reached out for a while. And the first time I didn't feel obligated to chase her down. By early February, Lauren was living in our parents' house full-time, like a ghost of her former self wrapped in old habits. Her childhood bedroom was now her new headquarters. A place where she could hide behind closed doors and pretend like she was in control of something. But the illusion couldn't hold up much longer, not without someone else's money to keep it alive. It started unraveling faster than I expected. The first crack came one morning when her car got repossessed right in front of the house. Our mom was the one who called me, her voice caught somewhere between anger and shock. They just showed up with a tow truck and took it. She didn't say a word about being behind. She just stood there screaming like they'd made a mistake. There was no mistake. She hadn't made a single payment since October. Something I only realized after I got the repo notice in my own mailbox. Turns out the lease had been in my name. Another thing she had conveniently never mentioned. My mom didn't know what to say after that. I think that was the first time she started to question who Lauren really was when no one was watching. Then came the credit card bills. One after another. Lauren had told our parents she was doing fine, that she had savings, that she'd just taken a break from work to refocus. But when the statements started showing up in their mailbox, it became clear. She was drowning. She owed thousands. Late fees on everything. And no one could explain how someone with a promotion and a new job had somehow missed every single payment for months. And then came the lie that changed everything. My dad showed up at my place without warning. No heads up, no text, just knocked on my door one rainy Tuesday evening. He was holding a thick manila envelope like he was serving me legal papers. He came in without much talk. Just set the envelope on my table and asked me to look through it. Inside were pages of bank statements, emails, overdue notices, a few screenshots from Lauren's phone that my mom had apparently stumbled across while she was trying to help her get organized. I didn't need to read every line. I recognized most of it. All the payments I used to make, all the subscriptions she never canceled, all the bills I used to quietly settle. There were even a few I didn't know about. Apparently, Lauren had taken out a personal loan. Used my name as a reference. She listed me as her employer. I sat back stunned. Then my dad said it. "She told us you threatened her." I blinked. Said you told her if she didn't leave the apartment quietly, you'd ruin her. That you'd tell everyone she was a fraud. That you were enjoying this. That you'd been waiting for her to fall. First I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so calculated. She didn't just shift the narrative, she rewrote it entirely. But my dad didn't look like someone who believed her. He pulled out his phone. Said he needed me to hear something. Apparently, a few days earlier, Lauren had been on the phone with one of her friends, talking on speaker in the kitchen. She didn't realize her phone had automatically connected to the house's Bluetooth speaker in the living room, right where our parents were sitting. He said, "I'm not worried. I can make them believe anything. I've been doing it for years. I'll just say Mila's trying to ruin me. They'll believe it. They always do." My dad hit pause. The room was dead silent. He doesn't know we heard it. Not yet. I looked at him. This time there was no defense in his eyes. No excuses. Just quiet shame. "I'm sorry, Mila. For not seeing it sooner." And then something I didn't expect, he started to cry. Not loud, not dramatic. Just quietly, like someone who had finally realized how badly he'd failed at protecting the wrong daughter. He left not long after, said they'd figure out what to do next. The next morning I got a text from my mom. One line. "Dinner Sunday. All of us. Please." And another one hours later. "It's time we fix this." I didn't respond right away. Something about that dinner felt heavier than any apology could fix. But I knew I'd go. Not for Lauren. For myself. Because it was time to hear face to face what they were finally ready to admit, and what Lauren couldn't hide from anymore. Dinner was scheduled for 6. I showed up at 6:17. I wasn't trying to make a point, but I guess in a way I was. I sat in the car for nearly 10 minutes with the engine off, watching the porch light buzz and flicker like it had every winter. It had never been fixed, even though Lauren once bragged to our parents that she'd hired someone to handle it. I had paid for that guy, by the way. Like always. I finally walked up, opened the door and let myself in without knocking. No one said anything. It was like they were waiting for me to decide whether this night was going to explode or not. The dining table was set, too perfectly. Matching placemats, the good plates, cloth napkins folded the way Mom used to do when we had guests over. That alone told me they were nervous. Lauren was already sitting down, hands clasped in front of her, eyes low. She didn't say hi. Neither did I. My dad was standing by the kitchen counter, arms crossed. My mom was fluttering around, pretending to fix things that didn't need fixing. It felt like I'd walked into a scene right before a verdict was read. I pulled out a chair and sat. Not because I was ready, but because I was done stalling. My dad sat down. Looked at Lauren, then me. "We need to talk before we eat." Lauren exhaled, leaned forward slightly, then started. "I lied. I lied about the job. I lied about the money. I made you all believe I was doing more than I was, and I used Mila to pull it off. I let her carry it and took the credit. She didn't cry. Thought she might. But she didn't. It almost made it more real. I didn't do it to hurt you," she continued. I was afraid of looking like a failure. And once it started, it felt easier to keep the lie going than admit the truth. There was a pause, and I realized no one at the table was breathing. And then she said something that stopped me cold. "I told them you blackmailed me. That you said you'd expose me if I didn't leave the apartment quietly. That you threatened me. It wasn't true. None of it." My mom closed her eyes. My dad looked like he'd swallowed a nail. I looked directly at Lauren. I wanted to ask why. Why go that far? Why not just tell them the truth? But I didn't. I already knew the answer. Fear. Pride. Maybe a little bit of envy. Maybe a lot. My dad leaned in then, and for the first time in years, there was something different in his voice. "We believed her, Mila. And we were wrong. We didn't just ignore the truth. We made you the villain in a story where you were the only one holding everyone up. I don't know how to fix that. But we're going to try." Then he looked at Lauren. "We've told her she needs to move out. She has 3 weeks. We'll help her find a job, but after that she's on her own. No more hiding. No more lies. That ends now." Lauren didn't argue. She didn't flinch. She just nodded, almost like she'd expected it. My mom finally spoke. "I think we forgot who we raised. We saw her struggling and thought she was strong for trying. But we missed everything you were doing in silence. You made things easier for all of us, and we never thanked you. We just assumed you'd keep doing it." Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She reached across the table and held my hand. "We're sorry." The food sat untouched for another minute. No one said anything else. Eventually we ate. Slowly. Carefully. The tension didn't vanish, but it loosened. For once, no one was trying to impress, defend, or dodge. It was just quiet, real. Finally. After dinner we sat in the living room. Lauren didn't say much. My mom asked if I needed help with anything. Bills, errands, groceries. Something she hadn't asked since I moved out. I said no. Not because I didn't want the help, but because I needed this to settle first. As I was getting ready to leave, Lauren stood near the door. She looked exhausted, but there was something in her eyes I hadn't seen in a long time. Something like humility. "I'm going to pay you back," she said. "All of it. It might take time, but I will." I nodded. Didn't say I forgave her. Didn't promise anything. But I nodded. As I walked to my car, I didn't feel triumphant or satisfied. I felt tired but lighter. The reckoning had happened. The lies were exposed. And for the first time, maybe ever, everyone was finally on the same page. Next time we sat at that table, it would be different. And I was ready for that. 3 Sundays later I got the invite. Not from Lauren. From my dad. A short message, no frills. "Dinner this weekend. Just us. No surprises. Hope you'll come." The word "just us" stood out. I knew what he meant. No show. No performance. No Lauren pretending everything was fine while balancing her life on the back of my bank account. I didn't respond right away. I stared at the message for hours, letting it sit there like a puzzle I wasn't sure I wanted to solve. Around midnight I typed a single word. When I pulled into their driveway, something felt off. Not tense, not uncomfortable, just unfamiliar. Like walking into a house that used to belong to someone you knew but hadn't seen in years. The porch light was fixed. The bushes were trimmed. Someone had finally cleaned the gutter that always overflowed when it rained. I stepped inside expecting to be hit by that old feeling, that itch to keep my guard up. But instead there was just quiet. No one rushed over. No one forced a smile. My mom was in the kitchen humming. My dad was setting the table, folding napkins like it actually mattered. For a moment, it felt like I was 10 years old again, and everything before this never happened. Dinner was simple. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, roasted carrots. No extravagant centerpieces or overpriced bakery desserts to show off. Just food. Real honest food. About halfway through, my dad stood and walked to the side table. He pulled out a white envelope and slid it across to me. "This doesn't fix everything, but we want to start." Inside was a check. Not a small one. It wasn't the full $21,484 I'd lost, but it was a significant chunk. More than I ever thought I'd see again. "We went through the past 6 months. Every favor you did, every bill you covered. We didn't know the full scope. We should have. That's on us. My mom didn't interrupt. She just watched me. And when I finally looked up, she said something I never expected to hear from her. You were the one holding everything together. Not her. You didn't ask for credit. You didn't demand anything. And we let you carry it until you collapsed under it. We're sorry, Mila. Truly. I nodded once. I didn't need a dramatic reconciliation. I needed honesty. And for the first time in a long time I got it. Then came the knock on the door. I didn't need to see her face to know it was Lauren. She walked in slowly, almost unsure if she was allowed. Her clothes were plain. No designer coat, no oversized bag. Small. Smaller than I remembered her being. She held a small cardboard box in both hands. I watched her step forward like she was approaching a judge. I'm not here to stay long. I just came to give you this. She handed me the box. Inside were 5 small envelopes. Each one labeled with a month and a number. First payments. I've been doing freelance work. Some writing stuff, some customer service. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. I started saving. This is yours. I didn't say anything. I didn't reach for the box right away either. She looked around the room like she was afraid to stay but afraid to leave too. I don't expect a relationship with you. I wouldn't even blame you if you never spoke to me again. But I'm not going to lie anymore. I'm not going to take anymore. I just want to own it. Finally. Then quietly she added. I wasn't just lying to you. I was lying to myself. I thought if I could fool everyone maybe it would feel real. It never did. There was silence. My dad looked down. My mom exhaled. I didn't say I forgave her. I didn't make a speech. I just took the box, set it beside me and said, we're not going back to how it was. That's not happening. She nodded. I know. But maybe, if you keep doing the work we can build something new. She smiled just barely. Mom asked if she wanted to stay for dessert. Lauren looked to me. I shrugged. One slice won't kill me. So we sat. All 4 of us. Eating pie from the store, not some overpriced bakery. No one tried to fill the silence. No one pretended everything was fine. But the lies were gone. That night when I left, my dad walked me out. He stood on the porch for a moment before speaking. It feels good to tell the truth, doesn't it? Yeah. It does. The wind was cold, but the air felt clearer than it had in months. This wasn't a happy ending. It wasn't wrapped in a bow. But it was honest. It was real. And after everything we'd been through, that was more than enough. The family wasn't fixed. But for the first time in a long time it wasn't broken either. And that was a start.